Oh yeah, hey, I'm Kyle Starks at C2E2. You're listening to Southern Fried Geekery.
1, 2, 3.
So I watched The Dirt last night on Netflix, and it's going to tie into later in the episode. Not, well, it will kind of, but no one told me that fucking Ramsay Bolton plays McMars. He's the same guy from Game of Thrones plays McMars. I didn't know that. It was amazing. So if you like Motley Crue and if you've read any of their like biographies or kind of followed them, you're gonna love the show. If you like, I don't know, good movies, you won't like it at all.
If you like good movies,
it's got really terrible dialogue and really bad acting. And apparently, Machine Gun Kelly, the white rapper, plays Tommy Lee. But it's a fantastic movie if you like Motley Crue.
The other white rapper.
Yeah, the other one.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I took all the bad dialogue and cheesy moments. I mean, it's just 80s and cocaine.
Yeah, no, that's all it was. Yeah, it was just that.
Can you imagine a Motley Crue biographical movie with really strong actors, though?
Oh my god!
I don't think that would work.
You have to go. You have to go cheese. I think you properly pull it off.
Yeah, I think they did that on purpose.
They made the movie bad on purpose.
Yeah.
Or it was just the way that worked out. It was just magic. So anyway, this is episode 73 of the Southern Fried Geekery podcast, and as usual, I'm Caleb.
I'm Craig.
I'm Sean.
And we've got a guest. We've got somebody new to the show at least, not new to our lives. We usually carry him in our hearts. If you have watched any of our little comic videos from the local comic shop that we put up on the Facebook page, you'll know him. You'll see him. You know and love him. He is, well, I'll let him introduce himself. Why don't you go ahead and tell everybody who you are?
Matt Trogden, sitting in for Jerry, settling into his ass grooves over here in the seats.
Matt, why don't you tell people who are listening to the show a little bit about yourself, kind of who you are and what you do?
Well, I'm a local guy. I grew up in Central Arkansas. I've stayed in Central Arkansas pretty much my whole life. I went to Southeast Missouri for just a few years and came back. I just couldn't stay away. Just wasn't cool enough up there for me. But yeah, so just work and live locally and come to the comic book shop as often as I can.
Nice.
Best part of my week.
What's so just give a little people an idea of what you like. What are your favorite comics, characters in general?
Throughout the years, my overall favorite since I was a kid, after I got after I grew past the obvious Spider-Man phase that every little boy goes through.
Hey, I'm still in that phase.
I'll never get out of it.
Well, I meant and maybe you're still in this, Craig, the obsessive phase, like there's Spider-Man and everything else.
Essentially when you grow out of your underoos.
No.
We'll talk about that later.
Also things we haven't grown out of. I transitioned over I was introduced to the character of Wolverine when I was around 8 to 10 years old, and it blew my mind that they had a good guy with knives that come out of his hands. And changed my world. And so Wolverine's been a favorite character of mine. I've been Conan the Barbarian is a favorite one of mine still. I do like the X-Men it's pretty much the only team dynamic that I've really, really liked throughout the years. And I've tried, Justice League and so on. And I do really like some iterations of the Justice League. But I'm really the Hulk is as far as a mainstay character in Batman. But other than that, I am a creator-owned fan more than anything. My creator-owned collection is at least 2.5 times my Big Two collection.
Right. Nice. Well, I mean, you just said the Hulk and Conan, so obviously I'm in love now. And, we'll talk about that later.
I think as people stay in comics longer, or at least my journey's been very similar, that you start with kind of the big two because that's what you know.
Yeah.
And then as you go, you kind of get drawn more and more to creators, and then you want to follow their creator-owned stuff, and you end up in some of the other.
Well, and it tends to be more mature. I mean, of course, back in the day, I was buying off spinner racks. Date myself there.
Right.
But buying off spinner racks, the big two is all that was on a spinner rack.
Right.
Until, I went to the first comic book shop that I did. I'd never seen Dark Horse. I'd never heard of them. I had no idea these things were out there. And the first comic book shop that opened in Central Arkansas was in a nondescript, unpainted cement block building next to a liquor store.
Oh, nice.
It was a part of town that you went to in the daylight only.
Yeah.
And I do remember going in there. It was dark. It was dank, and it was unbelievably awesome.
Yeah, as most comic books are.
Yeah.
Most comic book stores are.
Now they have windows. Now comic book shops have windows.
Yeah, it's not like
Nice.
the Illuminati or anything like that.
No.
They completely
Masons.
sold out, letting natural light into their
Yeah,
building.
yeah.
I mean, sometimes you don't want them to have windows, though. There's some people in there you don't need to see.
That's true.
So yeah, so that's,
Like, say,
that's
the owners?
Matt. Well, that's Matt. That's Matt, and Matt's going to be filling in for us for the next 2 weeks, I think, while Jerry is out and about. And who knows what'll happen? Maybe we'll have a fifth chair. I don't know. So
Glad to be here,
We'll
guys.
figure out. We're glad to have
Stoked.
you, man.
Indeed.
So let's kind of get into it. For those of you who have listened to the show, you know that it's about time for us to get to listener questions. It's been almost a whole month since we've done this. But as per usual, we're going to talk about a comic first because you can't have the SFG podcast without talking about a comic. It's blasphemous. You just don't do it. I don't know who would want that. Can't have it. Not doing it. So let's talk about a comic.
Yeah.
So we are, if nothing else, we are gentlemen on this show. I'm going to steal Bill Zanowitz's line because he always does that. And we went to our guest. We went to Matt and said, "Hey, buddy, we're going to round table a book, and you're going to pick it out." Number one, because we want to be nice and let him talk about a comic he really likes. Also, because we're lazy and we didn't feel like making decisions this week.
Any shortcut we can take, we will every time.
So Matt picked out a book, and I'm really happy he picked out this one because I love this book. It's been a lot of fun so far. It's Assassin Nation. It's published by Image Comics. It's being written by Kyle Starks and drawn by Erica Henderson, the great Erica Henderson, the Eisner Award-winning Erica Henderson. It is colored. It's colored by Erica Henderson as well, and lettered by Darren Bennett, who is, I don't know, I've never seen him doing letters before. So just jump into a little bit of the backstory here before, even before what came into this comic. The kind of your main figure in this book is a guy named Raskin. Is that how you pronounce his name?
Mm-hmm.
And he is one of the top assassins in the world. He's like the most deadliest person on Earth. And
So he says.
So it says.
Has he met John Wick?
Probably not. And he definitely hasn't killed his dog. Yeah, that movie is amazing. So anyway, he's in a little bit of trouble right now. Somebody's trying to kill Mr. Raskin, however you pronounce his name. And he has got the bright idea to hire the 20 most deadly assassins in the world to be his bodyguards. And that works out about as well as you would expect it to. None of them get along. Half of them kind of try to kill each other. And then there is, in fact, a large-scale attack where the rest of them get wiped out. So no one really knows who is trying to kill Raskin. And so now when you start this book, you're down to the top 7. You're down to an assassin named Taipan, Chad Fingerman, who is kind of a sharpshooter guy, Smoke, who is, well, she's just sneaky and a really badass assassin, Connie the Tank, one of the Mamba twins, the other one has been killed in a drone strike, Dave, because he's Dave, and then a man that I personally believe to be a goddamn American treasure, Mr. Fuck Tarkington, who is Fuck Tarkington. He's just, he's everything you think that somebody named Fuck Tarkington would be. He's a little bit of a country bumpkin, just likes to punch things, can move through walls because he goes through them.
Surprisingly polite in manners, though.
He really is.
He doesn't cuss. His name is Fuck, and he doesn't cuss. I found that interesting.
Did you read the back matter in this story?
I did.
Oh, the letters? Oh, my God. It's great. All right, so the crew is kind of all sitting around, and they're talking about how to go on the offensive. They're wanting to take the fight to the guy.
Can we, real quick, you're mentioning the names. Can we run through some of the other names
Yeah,
of people
go
that
ahead,
died?
man.
I think these are worth mentioning.
No,
Other
for sure.
names.
In memoriam.
Yeah, let's talk. Let's let's not forget those who we lost.
Yeah.
Some of the names in these were hilarious, and this is why I like Kyle Starks as a writer. When he writes violent fiction, there's a lot of humor in it.
Yeah.
And I liken it to, if you're familiar with the series Chew by John Layman and Rod Guillory, very similar in tone, very dark, violent material done in very light colors and, lighthearted animation style. But anyway, so along those lines, some of the names, I thought these were really great. Other than what the names that Kayla had mentioned, you have Wistful Stan, who He looks like he's, got one foot in the grave, mentally and physically. When they're talking to the other killers about what they're up to, he says all he does is take out people that are in nursing homes. And they say, does that pay? And he goes, well, not much, but it sure is easy. And, you have other names like David Bowie Knife.
Yeah.
Frankie Townhouse, Desert Regal, and then a Meat Stick. And maybe my favorite one.
I know which one you're going to say.
Smushwalker.
Oh, that is not the one I thought you were going to say.
I know you thought I was going to say Death Rumble Patch.
Rumble Death Patch. That's
Rumble Death Patch. Excuse me. Yeah.
Who didn't make it out of the first
Who
issue.
did not make it out of the first issue.
Died hard.
Yeah. So
Not a bad way to go.
I thought those in particular were worth mentioning.
Oh, they are. I'm with you, man. I love Kyle Starks. His Rock Candy Mountain is the first work I'd ever read by him, and I just fell in love with the guy.
Yeah, great book.
It's so good. Anyway, like we're down to the top 7 now, and they're talking about how to go on the offensive. They've got a target. They've got somebody that they believe to be the person who is called the Hit, and like I said, they're all they're trying to get their bearings after a drone strike has taken them out, and they really don't know the best way to go about getting to the target. And the target is a man that they refer to as the Echidna. And he is kind of this old liver spot having former shell of a human who rarely comes out of his protected hole, but has hired just bodyguards and muscle men and assassins, just people who haven't made the top 7 list, but he's really hard to get to. And he only comes out whenever he needs to go to a doctor once a month. And so they're kind of deciding to plan their attack around this. They're going to go after him, and they're going to get to him in the one time that he comes out in the open. And so this issue, there's not a whole lot of plot to the story. There's just a whole lot of murder.
Action.
Yeah, they go on the offensive, and Taipan, who is the guy on the top of the list, he's the number 1 assassin in the world. He actually works for the Echidna, and he's who the Echidna has hired to protect him, while the other assassins are trying to get to him, hired by Rankin. And so in the middle of this assassin, they've coordinated, they've got their plan, and they're going after him. They've got their 2 sharpshooters up in the air. They've got Stan, who is got to be the most nondescript. You use that word. Oh, is it Dave? Yeah. The most nondescript person in the book. He is too good for this world. He is not meant to be there. He is polite and just kind of green, but he's surprisingly deadly, and he's wearing a shirt with a tiger on it, which is, if you don't read this and hear "Eye of the Tiger," that's who Dave is. He's just a very lighthearted figure. And him and Fingerman are up on the top, and they're sharpshooting. Everybody else is going to kind of just go through and take out the guards, and they do, but it doesn't work out the way that they think it's going to work out. Taipan comes out, launches his own offensive, just goes full bore into these guys. You get a really, really great scene where Fingerman jumps on the ledge, slides down, makes 2 shots that are almost impossible, which is going to play in later. So by the end of it, I think, what is there, like 4 people left?
Gives you the impression there's 5.
Yeah,
I think we got 5 left.
died.
Yeah.
Half of the assassins, your one Mambo twin, is it Mambo twin? Yeah, it's your one Mambo twin does not get the revenge that they seek out. Dave is still left. Fuck Tarkington literally goes through a wall, does not bring a gun to a gunfight, brings knuckles.
We had to make it fair.
Yeah. In the interest of keeping it fair, he says.
Just beats the shit of people. Connie the Tank, I think, gets iced. I think she's the one who gets iced.
Connie and Mambo were the ones that...
So you end up with Smoke, Chad Fingerman's left, and Taipan is left. But there's a twist. Because when they get to the Echidna, he doesn't really know what's happening, because he's claiming, at least, to have not been the one to launch the drone strike. That Raskin is claiming he did. He's very he's not confused. He knows what's happening, but he is trying to explain to this group of people who are going to murder him that it wasn't him, that he's being set up, and that they're all being lied to. But he doesn't get a chance to say who it was because he takes a bullet through the face. You know, they just kind of put the bullet through his face, and it splatters out the back in the most epic fashion.
As it do.
And by the end of it, that's where you're left with people who are not entirely certain why they just did what they did. They're unfulfilled because they didn't get the revenge they want. And if you're reading the books earlier on in the books, there is another figure, and Matt, you're going to have to help me with this one because I completely forget the guy's name. The guy he's also seeking revenge. His husband's been murdered. I just can't.
Bishop.
Bishop has put 2 and 2 together and leaves you with the idea that he has now figured out who killed his husband, and it's got to be somebody who can make an impossible shot, and it's Fingerman. And so as he's sitting there talking to, I want to say it's Ghost, not Ghost, talking to Smoke. Smoke makes it out, telling Smoke, hey, you need to get out of this business if you've got family and friends, because you're going to put everybody in danger, like I put my husband in danger, and then you'll have to do what I'm about to do. And so that's kind of the story. That's where we're left with. I mean, that's the gist of it, right? And so the next issue, what we're going to see is hopefully we're going to see some type of collaboration, and we're going to get to see Bishop go after Fingerman. We're going to figure out the clues as to what Raskin's doing, because Raskin's, he's not been honest, to say the least. I love this book. I absolutely. And Matt, why don't you kick us off on it and give us your initial thoughts on it?
Well, I've read a few things that Kyle Starks has done. This is the second book I've read of his that is really violence centric. The other one I did read Sex Castle. Yeah. And I did read Kill 'Em All.
I have not read that.
Kill 'Em All has actually been optioned as a movie.
Really?
Yes. We'll all want to see that. It's really good. He's really, really good at making violent killer stories fun. Mm-hmm. He's really good at writing the dialogue in these. It's reminiscent of like the dialogue between John Travolta and Samuel Jackson in Pulp Fiction. Yep. You have some violent people having some very down to earth, mundane conversations, and it just comes across as really absurd. But it's what makes you laugh about it. In one scene, you talk about Dave, the killer Dave in this group. He acts like a guy named Dave. Right. And him and Fingerman are got their sniper rifles over the building, and he turns to him and says, "Hey, have you done your lawn pre-treatment yet? It's almost time to start mowing." And this response from Fingerman is, "Every time you talk to me, it's my hell."
It's just the worst thing.
Yeah.
It reminds me so much of that character from Deadpool, when he gets kind of the X-Force together.
Yeah,
and just there's
exactly.
This random guy who answers the ad on Craigslist and shows up for no goddamn reason.
Yeah, yeah.
It's absolutely that character.
So yeah, the characters is really what makes this story for me. I mean, it's when Kyle Starks has said this, he really likes essentially mindless, violent 80s movies, and he really likes writing those stories. And it turns out that Erica Henderson is just as big a fan of those as well, which apparently surprises a lot of people given her work on Squirrel Girl.
Yeah, right.
I read an interview with her, and she's like, every time, her and Kyle have been friends for a long time. She said every time they get together, they always talk about the most violent movies that they appreciate.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so cool. That's how they came together on this book. Her schedule opened up, his did as well, so they came together on this. But, the characters in it are just really, really good. Going back to Fuck Tarkington, it
all comes back to fuck.
Again, he's the first issue, he waltzes into the meeting, he's wearing overalls and no shirt, and he's just as cheery and polite as can be.
when he picks up the gun off the table,
he thinks it's take a penny, live a penny tray. So he takes a gun. Yeah, he takes the nicest gun he sees.
It's like a grab bag. It's party fair.
Yeah, apologizes later when he gets busted for it. He's like, "Oh, sorry." The ladies ask him, "So your name is Fuck?" And he's like, "Well, yeah, my dad wanted a girl so he could name her Sue Situation, but he named me Fuck because he thought Sue would cause some, quote, homosexual situations." Right. And they said, "Did it work?" And his response is, "Well, I am tough as hell, but sexually ambiguous, which is a great line.
Everything that fuck says is
it's a great character in the middle of the hit that, in issue 3, he's talking to Bishop and he excuses himself politely to smash through a wall and take out 4 armed men physically.
With no gun.
Yeah.
And in the spirit of fairness.
And with no gun. And apparently what fuck likes to do most of all is pick up men and toss them about, I've noticed. But the book is done,
it's a good hobby.
You're right. Yeah. I mean, if you can do it, we would probably all do it. But, interestingly enough, he's got, but did you notice Taipan's entrance?
Yes.
The
doves.
They burst through a door and doves come out.
Oh, John Woo as hell.
Yeah. I mean, it's the way the violence and the characters are presented are genius in this book. It is so good. And every issue since issue 1, I've been full on, and every issue I look forward to the next one even more. But, the dialogue itself is great. The way that Erica Henderson, is illustrating the violent scenes, they're very easy to follow. There's very little
her sequential storytelling is top notch.
Oh, it's great.
She does not miss anything.
Oh, the scene where Fingerman sliding down the roof and shooting is just amazingly drawn.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she's killing it on here. It's really easy to follow. And the way she does it, it really makes it feel fast paced. I mean, your eye is constantly moving. Mm-hmm. You really feel the speed of the scene, and nothing is lost. So I'm really looking forward to each issue more than the last, but it's, I really paid a lot of attention to the way she is illustrating it, and very heavy use of light colors, minimalist lines. If you notice, there are really no backgrounds in this book.
No, there's not.
There are minimal backgrounds, if any.
Yeah, it's almost simplistic, but not simplistic, if that makes sense. It's it's focusing your eye on what she was wanting you to focus.
Yeah, exactly. Which is, really forces you to be character driven in this story. Right. Yeah, it's not about the setting. The city is not a character like, in a Batman book or something like that. The characters are the characters.
The setting is, when you do see the setting, there's a purpose to it. It's a tool. It's a mechanism to do something. Like in the instance where Fingerman is sliding down the side of the building, you get that texture and detail only because it's a mechanism to get the action scene, to get that one moment.
Yeah,
for sure.
But the humor is really good in this. I just wanted to add one more thing. The humor is really strong. I actually laugh out loud when I read this book. When Smoke talks about just going in and taking him out by herself, and Dave asks her, she's worried about witnesses. She says, I'm an Asian in America.
Right. Yeah, that was one of my favorite scenes in the whole book.
That was a great, the joke of the witness saying, yeah, she was Chinese, or maybe Japanese.
Somewhere between 15 and 50.
Right.
Sean, what do you think about the book, brother?
Matt broke it down a lot. It's coming in with no context. I've never read a single issue of this before today. It's a lot of fun. The art, again, like he nailed it on the head, it's character focused. That's why, like I said, the more simpler backgrounds, and it works for the tale because the dialogue between the assassins and the action that goes on is clearly the focus. And I enjoyed it thoroughly. It made me think about a movie I haven't thought about in a long damn time, and I think it's a compliment. I remember enjoying it. The Boys. Not The Boys. The Losers.
The Losers.
Excuse me. For some reason, especially the sliding down, the sniper sliding down. I don't know why. All of a sudden I started remembering the movie The Losers. For that stylized kind of fun but serious, violent action. And I enjoyed the issue. Like I said, coming in with no context to the story or knowing these characters, still you got a good feeling from just even this one random issue and then probably the middle of the run.
Yeah.
That I still think it was very enjoyable. Like I said, the art was good. Pacing was well done. And like I said, likable characters and, fuck Tarkenton.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I enjoyed it.
How about you, Craig?
So I read this book and I was really angry at the end of it. But I was angry at myself because I haven't been on the damn book.
Justified.
Do what?
That's justified.
Yeah. So, I'm definitely going to pick this up in a trade paperback when it comes out because it was such a fun little, and again, a glimpse into it because I haven't read the first 2 issues, but kind of like walking into an action movie in the middle of it, you kind of see, I could walk into a John Wick movie and be okay for that 20 minutes of the movie I seen because it was 20 minutes of fantastic action and great scenes. And again, the scene where he's sliding down the side of the building shooting is just fantastically drawn, and smoke scene I was going to talk about that. That was just, it was pulled off so well, the jokes in it.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I don't really have much to add that the three of you haven't already said, but yeah, it was absolutely fantastic. And I will definitely be picking up the trade when it comes out. I'm assuming it's like a 5 or 6 issue miniseries.
I think it's a 5 issue. I haven't seen in the previews. It hasn't said yet.
Okay.
I don't think it's an ongoing. I mean, most of Kyle Stark's books aren't.
Yeah.
But you have books like Rock Candy Mountain that went what 12 issues.
So it might be a couple of
Yeah. I mean, it could be. I mean, I was expecting this to be about a 6-issue run based on what he normally
based
does.
on how fast everybody's dying in it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's assuming unless they're going to bring in other assassins after that group's dead or something. But
It feels that way. I love Kyle Starks. The way that he writes, and your Tarantino reference earlier is perfect for this, because you can tell that he's really studied that type of storytelling. The moments. So one of the really cool things that they did in that moment you were talking about earlier, where she says she's an Asian woman in America, and that's why she's not worried about witnesses. They actually launch into a flashback, and it's a witness in a police holding cell trying to give a description of it. And then it jumps right back in the story. And there's another one where it goes later on and kind of does the same thing, where you get this little mini flashback, and it's a full scene. It's 2 panels, but it's a full scene. You know exactly what's happening. It takes you to another place in time. It's not hard to jump into that story beat at all. And that is because of the pairing. I mean, it's good writing by Kyle, and it's good visual storytelling by Erica. Just these 2 people are on the top of their game. One of the things I love about it the most, though, is it's not... There is a lot of just gratuitous violence in this, and that's amazing. I mean, I'm with Matt on that. Like, I love gratuitous violence. But Kyle is such a good writer that he's able to take this gratuitous violence and loop it in with some really, really touching, emotive moments that... So there is some substance to the really, really fun elements. The things like the subterfuge of what's going on with Rankin and the echidna between that, the feeling of the Mambo twin, who she's pissed her brother's dead, and they've always worked as a pair, so it's kind of messed up her dynamic as an assassin. Like, you feel her rage in that moment. At the end of the story, and kind of an ongoing underthread in this, where Bishop is seeking out the person who killed his husband, and Bishop's been retired. Like, Bishop made it out. He is a gay assassin who made it out of the assassin lifestyle alive and got to have a moment of family time. This American dream type thing. And his husband got murdered for like sins of the past. And now he's on this like devil may care, leave no prisoners journey to find out who murdered his husband. Like, those moments, those really touching emotive moments are really what make this book shine, because he weaves them in the middle of characters like Buck Tarkington. Right. Characters like the assassins that work for the echidnas that are essentially, I think they're described in one moment as a tidal wave of knives. And you get these really great comedic moments in the middle of really, really well done character building on the opposite side of the just free for all. And I think that's brilliant. And he does some of this stuff in his Mars Attacks book. I don't know, Matt, did you get the chance to read that?
I didn't pick up the Mars Attacks book.
So the Mars Attacks book is kind of the same way. It kind of does the same thing that this one does. You get Mars Attacks, this classic act, lasers, people disintegrating and everything else. But right in the middle of it, you get this amazing, amazing father-son, come into your own moment that you kind of felt like it could come. And if it hadn't have been in the book would have been fine. It wouldn't have necessarily suffered for not having it, but it elevates it to this quote unquote next level by being in there. And I think that's what this book does with the little underlying threads. The moment, like I said, the last page of the book where Bishop's talking to Smoke and was like, dude, like, get out. You don't have to live this life. That's amazing.
Either get rid of your friends and your loved ones or get out of the business, because somebody's going to suffer from you.
It's the Spider-Man thing, right? Yeah. Like, you don't have a secret identity. I can't rave about this book enough. With Erica Henderson being on it, it may be on the short list for next year's Eisner Awards. I don't know if it will be. I could imagine it certainly will pop up at our end of the year Top 5. It's one of my favorite stories this year.
Yeah, same here.
I feel like I don't want to be that guy who says that every episode. Because I know like last week we talked
But you're
about
going to be.
Waves, and I was like, oh, this is my favorite thing I've read all year. And
Well, but depending on what you're reading at the time,
yeah,
I'm that way with stories too. Oh, this is the best thing I've ever read. And then I pick up the next book and I'm like, oh, this is the best thing. It just, sometimes you go through stretches where everything you're picking up is just that good. So,
What a great problem.
it is. There's so much good on the shelf.
I mean, I'm going through that right now. I'm reading a bunch of old Warren Ellis and Garth Ennis books. And I'm just like, oh, well, this is fantastic. And I'll set it, oh, wait, this is even better. And I'll set it aside.
Yeah.
It's great. There's some amazing comics out there. And out on the shelves right now, like I just don't understand these people who are talking about the industry dying and who act like there's nothing good worth reading. I'm like, no, you're just either not reading.
Who are
the wrong
these people?
stuff.
They're idiots.
People who aren't happy unless they're mad.
Mindless voices on the internet. They say things and I block them because that's what you do. What do we have? Anything else we want to add to that? I mean, is there, Matt, you got any final words on the book, brother?
No, I don't want to. I would love to keep talking about the book, but I want people to go buy it, and I don't want them to know everything about it.
Right.
Still want them to be surprised by some of what's in here because there's still. I mean, I was going to add something to what you're saying about, even amongst the violence, the very human motivation of Bishop is illustrated in an excellent way in the very first issue. In a discussion he's having with the boss about marriage.
Uh-huh.
It's excellent.
Yep.
And I really want to spoil it, but I'm not going to.
Pick up the trade. It'll be out before too long.
Yeah. I definitely will be. Like I said,
so
just
goddamn good.
angry at myself for not being on it. And part of that's been that I've been kind of cutting back on some of the miniseries and stuff, the creator-owned miniseries, and going for more of the long-running stuff. But I should have jumped on this just based on the creative team alone.
I will say, as an aside, and I want to add one last thing. If you ever are the type of person who read comics and you get to the end of it and there's a letter column, a lot of times people might skip over them. I do, unless it's a book or a writer I really care about and I want to see what they have to say. I skip over the letters columns a lot. Don't skip over the letters columns in this one.
So the letters columns in this one is interesting. If you follow Kyle Starks on Twitter, he posted, for the next letters column, submit questions to Fuck Tarkington. And that's all this letter columns is.
It's all questions from people on Twitter directed to Fuck Tarkington and the editors answering them in the voice of Fuck Tarkington. And it's amazing.
So I got to reveal the first question is mine.
Is it really?
Yeah. You notice the Twitter handle?
No, I did, but I didn't realize that was you.
Yeah. That's me.
I did not know that. This book, number one.
Now, and I'll admit, I had forgotten I submitted this question. And the third time I was reading the book, it was actually late last night. I just happened to see that. And I was like, oh, they're going to think I did this on purpose.
No, now we know you did.
Yeah. I forgot that was
That's right. I talked about the book I was in too. So
Yeah.
And I think I did as well. Yeah, the Champions book I was in the back matter. Well, go ahead and tell them what your question was.
So submitting questions to a character like Fuck Tarkington, I was like, what would be a ridiculous advice to get from Fuck Tarkington? So I thought, well, financial advice. So my question was, I submitted as, fuck, is term life insurance a good idea? Or should I put that money in a low-cost mutual fund? I'm also fully funding my 401k. Shouldn't that be enough to help my family in the event of my violent demise?
Oh, boy. And the answer to this, well, buddy, I don't know rightly what all these words or numbers mean, but I think you're asking me about money and securing money and future money plans. What I tend to do is stuff all my cash in a variety of places and make sure that they're safe. Under a rusty bucket in the backyard, or in the back barn, into a hole cut into my mattress, secured by a rope to a truss in a tobacco shed, etc. In regards to my family and their well-being in the sad event of my passing, I've drawn them a map written in a secret Tarkington language, hidden behind a beloved portrait of father and mother Tarkington that hangs in the sitting room. Of course, there's very little Tarkington family remaining, as most have succumbed to the expected demise of a Tarkington. Alligator attack or Lyme disease. Fucking brilliant. I did not realize that was you, and this makes my day even better.
that is fantastic.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's a great book, guys. Go pick it up. It's a lot of fun. We had me and Matt have been having a blast reading this. I think you two,
I enjoyed it.
Whenever you get to read it, you're gonna just you're gonna love this book. All right, so now's the time you've all been waiting for. The once a month listener questions. If you are not on our Facebook page, number one, what are you doing with your lives? I don't understand. Unless you're like Matt, you just don't have Facebook.
Yeah, Matt, why aren't you on our Facebook page?
Because Matt's he's just like, I'm not going to. He can't have his Twitter handle on Facebook. They won't let him. So he's just not doing it. Do you want to tell people what that is, or no? You want to keep that a secret?
No, I'll share it.
Okay,
So,
tell them what your Twitter handle
my
is.
Twitter handle is Red Sonja's Mate. I shall explain. So, if you're familiar with Red Sonja, and if you're not, okay, you should be.
Yeah. What are you doing?
So, according to Red Sonja, I want to make sure I say this right. According to Red Sonja, she states that the only man who can defeat her in single combat is worthy to be her romantic mate. So that's where my Twitter handle came from.
So you're that man.
That's that.
You're at least you want to be.
That's the dream.
So now we know why you spend so much time in the gym.
That's
Also,
it.
yes.
He's preparing. How's your wife feel about this?
We don't discuss it.
We don't.
much.
Okay. All right. So go on our Facebook group. We have a lot of great conversations, lots of threads. We're talking about news, talk about what we're reading. But if you go to the announcements page, there will usually always be a thread pinned to the top of it that says listener questions. There's usually a funny GIF that goes along with it. We want your questions. So once a month we can do this. We can answer your questions on the show. They don't have to be about comics. They can be about anything geek culture related. We've even had questions about religion and what our ideas of an afterlife would be. So it can really be anything. We answer about anything on the show. Obviously we can't get to all the questions on one show. So what happens is every once in a while I turn off the comments and I run through that thread in the episodes until we get to the end of it, and then I'll open it back up. If you listen to the show, I'll always tell you. If you're on the Facebook page, I will make an announcement that lets you know, hey, questions are open. And that's how that works. And we really love it. We love the interaction of the show. Look, we would do this show if 2 people listened or if 200,000 people listened. I would love it if it was a 200,000 mark because we can make money
share
off of
so
it.
we can get more people listening.
Make that happen. But right now,
Maybe in an actual studio.
right. Well, I think we sound pretty good.
Yeah.
No, I mean, the sound is fine.
I want a radio program. I want this to be our jobs. If that can happen, that's glory.
It's where we're advertising mattresses.
Right. And razors and underwear.
Happy to sell
Enter
out
discount code Fried Geekery for 15% off.
But we really do like the community aspect of doing a podcast. It's, I think, at least the 4 of us on the show, and Matt hopefully will get to know what that's like. It's the community building. Like, we've made legitimate friends, people from all over the place based on this show, and that's dope. We love you guys. We love being part of a group of people, a larger swath of people who just love nerd culture and love comics and love to talk about it. It's fun for us. And so that's where some of these questions come in at, and we love this interaction. So the first question, it's actually the end of a series. It's the end of an era, guys. Caleb Anderson, about a year ago, dropped 3 questions on us. He wanted to know our top 5 Marvel, our top 5 DC, and last but not least, the top 5 Image. So through the episodes, I've thrown these in there to kick us off with. And I vote we do this like a round table thing. We all go 5, we all go 4, we all go 3, 2, and 1. Y'all cool with that?
Absolutely.
Sure.
All right, perfect. So this one is our top 5 Image characters. Do y'all want me to kick it off, or we want to let Matt? We'll let Matt do it. You kick us off.
Yeah, I think we're probably going to have some.
There's going to be some
repeats.
crossover.
Yeah,
For sure.
So top 5. What's your number 5?
Number 5 is the Crew of Outer Darkness.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
Matt's starting off breaking rules. He's like, for 1, fuck that.
Yeah. And I thought
It's
about
hard
that.
to pick.
Yeah.
Like a single character.
Oh, that book is great. And I cannot pick a character that I like the best out of that book because all of them are so strong.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good series.
It's compelling to read about that book because of those characters.
I haven't read it yet. I have to pick that up.
Oh, it's
You
really
do.
good. It's John
Is it?
Layman. It's
Is
fantastic.
it Layman? Yeah.
Yeah, and I almost didn't pick it up because it's space, and I'm not really big on space
But it's
stories.
Space Demons.
Yeah, but it's so good. It's like, oh man, it
I picked it up
transcends
purely
that.
because it was Layman.
Yeah,
and-
well, that's what sold me on
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, Craig was telling. I think this was the book you were telling me about a few days ago, weeks ago. something
Matt
like
and I
that.
both been talking
Yeah.
about it at the store, so you've probably heard us
Yeah.
going on
Absorb it
about it
through
on
osmosis.
Wednesdays. Yeah.
Nice. What's your number 5, Sean?
My number 5 is coming with a little bit of a caveat. These characters, and it's a tie, so it's 2 characters, breaking rules. Started off in Dark Horse, but Image has since reprinted and published the newer works. I'm still going to count them. And that is Mac and Panda Delgado from Body Bags.
Okay.
This got the straight man and Mac, aka Clownface, and his crazy as shit daughter who just wants to spend time with her daddy, so she jumps into the assassin game super quick. And it's a fun, like, straight man and funny side team with a father-daughter relationship and some fun assassination stuff.
Very cool.
What you got?
Mine is Grandpa from Redneck, the grandpa vampire that set everybody on fire and by burning himself, jumped out the window, caught himself on fire, and lit all the other vampires on fire.
Donnie fucking Cates.
As you do.
So that's my number 5.
So my number 5 is going to be Larry Wentworth III, also known as Larry, who is Gert's Guide Through Fairyland in I Hate Fairyland by Scotty Young. In what is supposed to be a magical adventure led by a really cute talking animal, you get Larry, who is a fly, who is an alcoholic, who is never without a cigar, and is the most sarcastic creature to ever flap his wings. It's beautiful. He hates Gert with a passion, but is still charged with not letting her die, a charge which he often thinks about dismissing. So it's awesome. If you haven't read I Hate Fairyland, go check out Larry. He's a badass. What's your number 4, bud?
Number 4, the series Postal. Mark, the young man, the protagonist in that series. I like that character a lot because it's unique. It's an autistic character.
Yeah.
And, you know, I know some autistic children. And so the way that character is portrayed is, I mean, it's spot on for autism. And it makes for a very compelling read for this character that's interwoven in this. He's essentially surrounded only by violent people, and how he interacts with those people from an autism point of view is compelling to me. And it's unique, and I really appreciated it being that unique.
Now, is that Matt Kent? Is he the one who does Postal?
Postal was started out by Hawkins, and then Brian Hill took over.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Brian Hill took over I actually was going to drop the book. Brian Hill took over the book, and it got much better.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed that entire run.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
I like that he created like a shared universe with that and then looped the Tithe into it as well, because that's an amazing series.
He looped all of them into it.
Yeah.
The mind management, Tithe, and Postal. It was really good.
Nice. What's your number 4, Sean?
Number 4 for me is Violet, the dwarf warrior from Rat Queens. She's kind of the heart of the group to me. She's like, obviously the lead, the tank, wants to fight, and she rebels against her dwarven heritage and father by shaving her beard off in rebellion against her parents.
Yeah.
But a lot of fun.
I love a good dwarf.
Don't laugh. Don't pink shame.
In fiction.
Yeah.
Oh, in real life, too, if you're a dwarf.
Yeah, that's true.
No, we love you all.
Number 4 for me is Rick Grimes from Walking Dead.
Okay.
I mean, just a badass. I mean, he, ripped out a dude's neck with his throat because he threatened his son, and, all kinds of great stuff. So, yeah, he's just ultra violent and ultra cool.
Nice. My number 4 is Joseph Oppenheimer from Manhattan Projects. It's by Jonathan Hickman and Nick Patera. So in the story, Joseph Oppenheimer is Robert Oppenheimer's evil twin brother. Robert Oppenheimer being the famed physicist who helped with who helped build the first nuclear bomb in the actual Manhattan's Project. Joseph's his evil twin brother who murders him, eats him, and has a plethora of psychotic personalities who live in his brain. And it's fan-fucking-tastic. It's great. He's a lot of fun to read. He's legitimately terrifying. Terrifying. This level of genius and this level of psychosis is crazy. Yeah, go ahead. Number 3.
Number three for me is Dylan for Kill or Be Killed.
Okay.
I really, really like that story. And this is just a violent vigilante fantasy. That's one of my top forms of violence. I appreciate vigilante violence.
You have wait, time out. You have a scale of violence and how you appreciate it.
I break it into top 10, top 20 forms of violence. Yeah.
Is there a spreadsheet to go with this? I need the spreadsheet.
Yeah.
That's your homework.
Graphs.
Give me yes. Pie charts.
Graphs.
Venn diagrams.
Oh my god.
That's true.
We've got to post that. We've got to get that published. What's your number 3, Sean?
Number 3 is Rick Grimes from The Walking Dead.
Okay.
For various reasons that Craig listed, as well as, look, this is a man who should have walked away from this group of dumbasses in the zombie apocalypse a long time ago, and he probably still have a hand and a happy son. But He's held through. He's been a leader from the get-go, and he still will punch somebody with the nub of his recently cut off hand.
Nub punch.
Yeah,
Is that on
spoilers,
the-
he may not be punching many people much longer.
Granted, I am off the series, but Rick Grimes still earned. He's still a badass.
Is a nub punch on the hierarchy of violence?
My list just went to Tony 1.
Did it? Yes. Amazing. What's your number 3, Craig?
Number 3, I'm going to go with Mark Grayson from Invincible.
Okay.
Invincible himself. Another Robert Kirkman book, but one of my favorite non-Big 2 superhero books.
I've read the first, so this is where I'm behind. It's one of those books I think, like, honestly, especially if you like violence, you should read this book. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm up to like the 4th or 5th trade. I'm trying to get through it over the summer. I don't know if that's actually going to happen or not, but fingers crossed.
It's one of those books that if you took any of the superheroes out of the Big 2 and put them in their own universe where you could show the violence that they could do, it's just a great series. You should read it.
So good. So my number 3 is going to be Luther Strode.
Nice.
Justin Jordan and Trad Moore wrote this book. If you remember old comics, 80s and 90s comics, there was always this ad in them of this little scrawny guy at the beach getting like sand kicked in his face, and it was like the Atlas workout program. Justin took this idea and made it into a trilogy of Luther Strode, and Luther Strode basically does this, and it like imbues him with like this ability to just break things and people and the world. He becomes Luther Strode, and it's a fantastic story. It's a love story. It's a story about revenge. It's a story about overcoming your personal inhibitions. It's fantastic, and if you haven't read it and you like kung fu stories, just period, check this book out because it's beautiful, and it's drawn by Trad Moore, and you can actually see Trad Moore like leveling up through the book. I don't know how long, Trad Moore's been drawing for years. He's a graduate of Savannah Art College, or SCAD, but you can see him like where he begins and then where he ends in this book are way two different places. Oh, yeah. And watching his artistic journey is flawless. It's amazing.
Damn good pick.
What's your number 2, brother?
Shirtless bear fighter.
Fuck yeah, it is. You get a fist bump.
Self-explained.
Yeah.
Next.
Yeah. it is self-explained.
Touché.
Yeah, nothing else needed. My number 2 is Breaking the Rules Again. It's going to be another duo because it's just them together. It's Alana and Marco from Saga. That individually, they're still good, but together is really what keeps you coming back to the series, from the love they have each other to the flaws they have as people. Just fantastic lead characters. I just love the series and I love them.
Nice.
My number 2 is Luther Strode.
Nice.
It's a fantastic series, and you should definitely read it. It's ultra violent, and it's Justin Jordan at probably the top of Justin Jordan's writing. You should definitely read that book.
You can get the big hardcover that's got all
3 series in
all
it.
3 series, and I'm not sure what that equates to issues, but I think 18 or 20.
Yeah. It's about the size of an omnibus. It's
It's
worth
a long
the
read,
price,
but
but
amazing.
it's really good.
It looks great on a shelf. I can speak from experience. I have it. So my number 2. Sorry.
Numbers.
It's going to be Wolf from East of West.
It's a good one.
He's this kind of, if you're into the world of East of West, you know how they're broken up into different nations. Wolf is the son of Cheveo, who is the leader of the Endless Nations, who is this. The Endless Nation is this Native American futurist nation to where the Native Americans actually control all the technology, and they kind of have a hive mind, and they still have the old Native American mysticisms and magics. And as somebody who is part Native American, I love this idea of Native futurism, and so I'm fascinated by it. But Wolf kind of turns his back on all that because he knows his dad's a dick, and he's following Death, who one of the 4 horsemen. Wolf can literally turn himself into a pack of wolves, and that's amazing. So, I don't know,
he's an assassin for Death,
pretty much. Right. Yeah, him and Crow.
What a job!
Are fantastic characters. And I had a hard time. I was going to pick Crow, but I think I like Wolf's character design better.
Both of them are good.
And he rides with Death. I'll ride with Death. Okay.
Very cool.
All right. So our number 1s. Start us off, Matt.
Coach Boss from Southern Bastards.
Yep.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I love that series.
Yeah. Just the, I really, really like that. Of course, the series is great. Yes. I really like that character because I really appreciate quiet danger, and he can be violent at any point in time. And his violence seems to be motivated by getting things done, not so much for money, not so much for revenge. Something needs to be done. And if I have to beat you into the ground with, say, this tree limb, that's what I'm going to do.
It's so on point because if you grew up, especially in the South, but if you grew up in a football town, the head coaches in Southern football towns are absolutely like mafia bosses. It's so on point.
Jason Aaron and Jason Latour, right?
It is.
And they really need to get back on that.
Yes, they do.
I mean, he's
I know Jason's doing a billion things. Jason Aaron is doing a billion things right now, but come on, just give us the next 6 in that series.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, Sean. Tell me the truth, brother.
To the surprise of absolutely nobody who knows me, Dragon from Savage Dragon is definitely number 1. I have never grown out of my love of 90s action heroes, and that's 100% what he is and what he's always been. A man who found himself with amnesia in a burning field that was green with a fin on his head with superpowers says, I'm not donning no fucking tights. I'm becoming a cop to fight all these other super villains while, obeying the law and going on crazy ass adventures. I fucking love him.
Mine is Tony Chu from the book Chu.
Nice.
I wrestled with that one.
Yeah, he has the ability, and they give all these guys like their powers have names, but if he eats something, he can see their entire history, and he works for the FDA trying to stuff out the chicken bird flu epidemic. So he's, only thing he can eat is beets because beets don't have history apparently. He spends his entire life eating beets, but occasionally he'll go to a crime scene and eat a little bit of blood or take a bite of a finger or something so he can see what happened at the crime scene to beat the crime. It's actually really amazing.
So I knew you were going to pick something from this book.
Yeah.
And I figured it was going to be him, but part of me thought it was going to be Poyo.
Oh, Polio's amazing, dude. I mean, yeah, Polio's great too. There's so many good things about that book though.
All right. So my number 1 character is a character. We're going to go back to the beginning of Image on this one. And it's a character that sadly is no longer really in the zeitgeist of the Image characters. And that's the Darkness.
I thought about that one.
Yeah, created by Garth Ennis, Mark Silvestri, and David Wohl in '96. The Darkness is Jackie Estacado. He's a mob child. He's a hitman. His family, they're dirty. They are violent. They are dark. But he inherits a curse that allows him the ability to tap into an extra dimensional force. It's kind of a dark dimensional force and control the Darklings, which manifest in different ways depending on who is wielding the darkness. It's kind of a lineage thing. He fights, Witchblade. He fights the Angelus. Does mafia shit. Did I mention Mark Silvestri, who is, in my opinion, the best creator out of all the Image people who jumped over as an artist? We talk about Uncle Todd. Mark Silvestri is better. Again, subjective, but just my opinion. Right. Wills, all those guys, Rob. It doesn't get better than Mark. And if you ever read any of the interviews that they've done talking about the past, most of them would agree. Mark Silvestri is hands down one of the most technically skilled artists that came out of the 90s and the 80s.
Oh, yeah. And I think he is sadly overlooked when you do talk about the founding fathers of Image. Yes. I mean, Cyberforce was amazing right at the jump. Yeah. And then, like I say, he came into Darkness and all that. So, yeah, I think he's criminally overlooked in the Image family.
Because he's quiet.
Yeah.
If you go back and read the Wolverine, the original Wolverine monthly series, that when he took over when John Buscema jumped off, I don't know how many people can follow John Buscema, but he pulled it off.
Oh, for sure.
He's a stunning artist and still kicking ass today. That's one of my Grail pieces. So I collect original art. For those of you who don't know, I want to own a Silvestri page, and at this point, I really don't give a shit what it is. So if you got one laying in your closet you don't want, send it to me.
Did you ever play the video game Darkness?
I've had it. I did play it for all of about 30 minutes, and
as most people listen to the show know, video games, and mostly anytime I have to look at a TV, I get bored. And so I just stopped and went on to do something.
But you can send the demons to kill people.
But you can. And that's,
And they panic.
That's
and start-
having a hard time following
Yeah.
your logic here.
I'm not sure you played it.
How far did you? Yeah, you didn't far enough.
They start screaming and panic and shooting their guns at them. Oh my god!
look, things are amazing. Just because I don't do them does not take away their amazingness. I'm just a weird person, and I don't like watching things. That's just I'm odd. I'm an odd duck. I freely admit this. It's just my life. That's who I am. Welcome to my madness. But I did watch the Motley Crue biopic. That's something I paid attention to.
This list is something that I could probably keep going on a few
yeah.
Once my mind started flowing on this,
Yeah. It was a lot harder than I thought it would be to put that list together too.
Yeah,
it was when you first sit down to think about
Yeah.
it, but then as you start talking about it and it starts flowing, it's like, oh well, there's probably another 8 or 9 on here that I
it's
could add.
hard to limit it.
Oh yeah.
Because number one, it may be easier if Image had stayed a shared universe.
Yeah.
But when Image exploded into this creator-owned avenue for stories, and it's not a connected universe, and it's all of these different types of books, that's when it gets hard.
Yeah.
Right.
When you have books like Chew and East of West and Southern Bastards, the things that Sean said, Savage Dragon, sorry.
All right, then fuck y'all. I said Saga too.
I want to jump in for Sean. When Image started, I really appreciated Savage Dragon. I will say I really liked that book. I was a reader when it started.
I appreciate watching Eric Larson draw.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a unique style.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to the next question. So this one comes from our brother David Price, who is one of the co-hosts of the 11 O'Clocks Comics podcast. Hey, Dap, we love you, buddy. And he says, how would you design your dream comic shop? What sets it apart from any other one? Craig, we'll jump over to you on the first one for this one, bud.
Yeah, we're pretty lucky where we're at that we have a pretty nice local comic book store that kind of caters to its regulars.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's a thing that happens nearly enough. And if I were building my own, I'd probably put it in I don't want to say hipster, but like a, downtown setting. Caleb and I have kind of talked about this, where you get a lot of foot traffic, but I would have a lounge area in the back, not for the regulars, because you don't just want the people coming in off the street that are just flipping through the books to sit down and read the books and not buy them.
So you want a sign up that says no normies?
No. I want
Exactly what he's saying.
No, I want an area that's where the regular customers that are buying the books can go chill and hang.
You have a VIP section.
Yeah, something like that.
That says no
with
normies.
a mini bar,
Velvet rope.
with a mini bar and strippers.
Do I get to pick the strippers?
Sure.
Okay.
No, I mean seriously. I would just like a lounge area where people can sit around, talk about comics, talk about the things we love, just kind of like we do on a Wednesday, but just to have an area that's kind of for that itself.
Right.
That would be for me what would.
Nice. Sean.
I'll be taking in a lot of stuff I've seen from the comic book shops I saw in Japan. First of all, of course, integrating a lot of Western and Eastern comics into my shop as well as a big thing about statues and figure trades. Like people who get, you get tired of that statue you got on your shelf, you can actually burn it for store credit. I don't think I've seen that in a lot of comic book shops here lately. And of course, like I said, welcoming atmosphere for one,
Right.
of course, positivity. But yeah, I think I would be just as
Only for the regulars.
only for the non-normies. And as far as like location, I mean, and this, I don't know if malls are still popular, but I almost would like to actually set up in a mall. I mean, you're talking foot traffic, that would be hellified foot traffic.
There are still a few like I went to one in Florida that was in a mall.
Yeah.
And it was nice to see that.
I
I
think
think
would
what
put that
makes it
there.
hard in a mall is the cost of rent.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
extremely
Yeah.
high in a mall versus what you make in a comic
I would trust me, if I was making a comic book store, I'd already be a billionaire.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it's just a money sink.
Yeah.
Much as I love it.
So mine, and like Craig said, we've talked about this a little bit. My shop would be, I would take care of my regular customers, right? Like I would take care of my everyday shoppers and everything, but my shop would really be geared towards reaching out and grabbing the people who don't know that they like comics yet. I'm of the opinion that everyone likes comics. Some people just don't know it yet. And so what I would want, number one, is also to get kids reading books. So I want my comic shop set up to where I can also have an after school program. And maybe it's for 2 or 3 hours a day.
I'm not coming to your
No,
comic book store.
hey, look, here's the thing.
Caleb Store's The name of Caleb's shop is Normie's Welcome.
It's
Greg.
Yeah, for sure. That's how you get people buying comics. That's how you make comics a focal point again. But no, I would have it set off to where it would number
As
one,
long as you have
protect the kids.
the regulars spot in the back.
Yeah.
Got Craig's VIP section.
But you have it set up to where I can do kind of an after school program, maybe for 2 or 3 hours a day, to where we get a licensed professional, because money's not an option. Like we're pretending money's not an option.
Oh, okay.
Or not an obstacle, at least. With a licensed teacher who can take care of them and teach kids comics and put comics in the hands of kids. I also want to have it set up to where I can do after hours events. I want a liquor license so I can come in and kind of do maybe once a week we host a live podcast in the middle of the comic shop, or we do a comics trivia night and have people come in. We do actual comedians. We have comedians come in, do these after hour events that will pull people into the shop who might not otherwise be there. That's what I really would like, is to reach out and grab folks and garner a new audience, while at the same time taking care of my existing customer base. I think that's how you do it. And the idea of having a lounge in there, a regular place for people to come and sit down. I would like to have a lending library in mind. And I realize you don't make any money off of that, but have people to treat it like a library system. Like, if you want to read this, maybe pay $5 a month, like a streaming service, and you could pull it off the shelf and bring it back. Take care of your day-to-day customers, but really have after-hours events to pull people in and make it fun.
So mine, I'm with y'all on, I do want to mention this. I think it's easy to take for granted the atmosphere that we have at the comic book shop that we go to, because there's a lot of places that don't have that. I drive past 2 other comic book stores to go to the one that I do.
Yep.
Because, the relationship that we have and the atmosphere that's going on in there. And I take, recommendations from the staff, and I almost always buy what's recommended. Yep. Because I know that they know what I like. So they're not just recommending something because they want to sell me another book. They do, but, but the things that I would have in there, I would have, and foot traffic is the key. To go with what you're saying, Caleb. So I would have things in there that I'm not necessarily interested in, but I know should appeal to the same demographic. Things like manga. I should get a nod from you.
Thank you, Matt.
Things like
thank you, Matt.
Wrestling paraphernalia.
Oh, you damn right.
So these obviously have crossover, models, toys, all this stuff. Yeah. All this stuff I don't buy, but I know there's a lot of crossover there.
I don't buy any toys either.
No, not at all. Because you got them all already?
No.
There's nothing left. But I really like staff recommend sections. I really dig those. Large dollar bins. I think there's a lot of value in that, because if somebody's just coming in, it's like, hey man, there's a big dollar bin. Yeah. What character you have any interest in? Here's $1. Spend $1 on it. Just anything to drive that kind of stuff. And I did have a lounge area in my list of wants with an espresso machine.
Ooh.
Yeah. And podcast booth.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Can we throw in there like a section for Matt to brew his beer in the back? That's all.
Oh, I got to work now.
You just direct it.
Yeah.
Along the lines of a dollar bin, something I'd like to see better in comic book stores is priced comics in the back issues.
Yeah.
So that you don't get surprised. You can go through and go, okay, well, I want to pay this. I don't want to pay. You don't have to take it up to the front of the counter and wait for them to look it up and then tell you. And then you got to go, oh, well, I don't want that.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think that can count against you. If you got a $10 price on a book, I think people will see $10 and not realize if they walk up there, they might get it for $7.
Yeah. Well, but I mean,
but there's something to what you're saying. But I think there's a pro and con to that.
There is. Yeah. Also, the changing prices.
I was going to say it also is hard with how they fluctuate.
Yeah. I mean, you have to have somebody in charge of your inventory for sure.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There's got to be a way to do it where you're not surprised when you walk up to the counter.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Something else that's thought about it would be also, and our local shop does as well every now and again, but I would definitely have a heavy push on local comic book creators.
Yep.
Having them in the store at least maybe 3 days out the week, if not more, depending on their availability of a different one. You know, to get as many as you can to come in there and just also show creator own stuff as well.
Kind of on that line, it's a thought I just had. There, places are getting popular now to where it's like you go in, you get a bottle of wine, and you paint. I forget what they call those things, but everybody does it, and you don't have to be an expert. And it's just fun. It's like a fun Friday night. You and a group of friends, you go to this place, and they give you a paint, and they give you an idea of a picture you're supposed to paint, and you just get trashed and have wine while you do it. I would love to have something like that geared towards sequential art. So having an artist, a sequential artist, or a local person do classes like maybe once a week, like you said, where they come in and anybody can draw comics, whether it's something heavily detailed or just the stick figure stuff. Come in and sit down and do that.
I'm sorry, I'm just thinking of John Lucas trying to teach a
Maybe not that.
I love you, John, but that would be the funniest thing ever.
That would end in murder, or just
Totally worth it.
a really, really offended Central Arkansas. All right, so let's go on to the next question. This one comes from Mr. Steve. We have a lot of our friends who are podcasters asking questions on this one. This one comes from our boy Steve Maury of the Comic Book Bears podcast. He asks if you could pick a writer and artist dream team, living, dead, or from a non-comic industry, for any title at Marvel or DC, who would that be, and what book would they do? And we'll jump to Sean for the first one on this one.
Well, since we had done, I'd already kind of listed this before, so I tried to go in an opposite direction. I already listed Brian K. Vaughan teaming up with George Perez into a book as my ideal dream team. But the idea popped in my head of Kohei Horikoshi, the writer-artist of My Hero Academia, creating a brand new team for New Mutants. With his unique creative ways, the way he's made these superpowers, create a whole original New Mutants lineup. With Mirage as the school head.
Nice.
That would be mine.
Very cool. Matt?
Mine, I really struggled with this, by the way. But I would like to see Warren Ellis and Greg Capullo team up to do a street-level, no superheroes Punisher book.
Oh.
Okay. I can see that. Like, that's an actual possibility.
Warren Ellis
Yeah.
writes some excellent crime stories. And I don't know how much input he has on it, but it seems like everything he does and with these kind of stories have killer fight scenes. I want to see him do Punisher.
Very good at choreography.
Yeah.
Nice.
Very good. Craig?
Mine is also Warren Ellis for the same reasons that he just said, with Rollo Caceres, who is a fantastic background artist and does wonderful fight scenes. If you've read Crazy and stuff like that he did with Warren Ellis, I would love to see them do Batman together.
Oh yeah, I'd be on for that.
Because of his amazing backgrounds drawing Gotham would just be fantastic, and Warren Ellis writing Batman.
Yeah,
right.
That would go to some weird places.
It would be wonderful.
Go to some weird places. I'm
wonderfully weird.
So I decided to mix a little bit of the old with a little bit of the new. I would love to have Roy Thomas writing the Avengers with Riley Rossmo.
Nice.
Like Roy. If you go back and read some of those old Avengers stories, Roy Thomas comes up with some pretty off the cuff things, and he's you get a lot of Roy Thomas team with Buscema, and you get these people who are followers of Kirby, trying to mimic what Kirby did, most of the time unsuccessfully, but still it's good art. But Roy Thomas has a really good idea factory living in his brain, and if you can give that to somebody who can do the multimodal things that Riley Rossmo does, mixing both the traditional drawing style and the stuff that he does with digital effects and everything, I think you're going to get something incredibly diverse that we haven't seen before, and I want it really, really bad.
Thanks to him, Conan went mainstream.
Yep. Red Sonja went mainstream. Roy Thomas created Red Sonja.
Yep.
Just point blank.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right, our next question comes from, and this is, we picked one from Stephanie. So Stephanie Straw question bombed us because she had apparently had a few saved up, and I loved it. But she went on a question, like she just salted the earth with questions. It was great. She wants to know which comic book character has the best outfits. And this is cool because part of so much of what comics and comics characters tie into fashion, and their outfits and their designs are inherently the genetic makeup of that character. So I'll go first on this one. This was not a hard question for me. Obviously, I'm going to say the Scarlet Witch. That's one of my favorite characters of all time. I love her different outfits and the different incarnations of her outfits. She's great. Her outfits are one of the reasons that I get commissioned drawings of her more than anything else. I've got a little collection of Scarlet Witch things. And I love it when artists, I tell them, feel free, like, do your own. You can either mimic one or you can just do your own because there's so much that you can do. And that fucking headpiece is amazing. I don't care which one it is. The answer is yes. It's amazing. It's a pentagram on her face. It's badass. And she wears leather corsets that are crimson, and she's amazing. And I love her.
It's true.
That's it. That's all I got.
Okay.
Yeah, Craig.
I went with Emma Frost because she wears amazing corsets too. I went with Emma Frost because, you know, they do talk about a lot in the comic books about her fashion sense and so forth.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where I went.
Oh,
I don't have as much in-depth response to this as Caleb does.
Fair enough.
because Emma Frost.
Because amazing corsets.
Yes. For me, it's Spider-Man.
Okay.
From Peter Parker to Miles Morales to even Ben Reilly. Even if it's a bad story, a good story, Spider-Man has iconic and badass outfits. From, like I said, the iconic red and blue with the webbing underarms, which you have to have the webbing underarms, in my opinion.
Yep.
To, even if you weren't a fan of the Spider clone with Ben Reilly, you can't hate that hoodie out. I love the hoodie outfit. So, like, I know you can hate the story.
No, I was thinking about the webbing underarms. And yeah, they look great, but think about that in a fight. Wouldn't they be restrictive?
No, they stretch.
Yeah, they're stretchy.
They're stretchy.
I mean, I would say it's less restrictive than a cape.
Yeah.
So
I get what you're saying, but
it's
yeah.
restricting your arm movement.
He seems like he can punch people just fine with them.
I mean, yes, because
I know
comic
Craig.
physics.
Right.
No.
Ditko's gonna rise back up after you.
It's okay.
But yeah, but Spidey's always had.
I think it
cool
was actually
outfits.
Ramita that added that.
I think
No,
you're
it's Ditko.
Was it Ditko?
Was it Ditko?
It's Ditko. Well,
I thought Ramita also. Okay,
It's,
but yes,
it's in
Spider-Man.
the Ditko stories. I'm never going to say no to a twink in a skin suit. So, you know, hey.
On
Real
that
talk.
note, who do you have?
So I wrestled with the same. I wrestled with the same corset. I was gonna go with Black Canary because she has a corset and fishnets.
Yeah.
But then I thought Red Sonja, obviously. And then I was like, oh Christ. So I'm gonna have to go a non-sexual route, and I appealed to what appeals to my hardcore punk rock thrash metal roots is the Punisher Max outfit. It's a black T-shirt with a white skull on it.
Okay.
Done.
Yeah. Very minimalist.
Yeah. Delivers a
Somebody that doesn't
message.
give a shit.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Absolutely.
All right, so Rod Hedrick wants to know, is Cap's ass really America's ass? And we teamed this one up because we basically had two questions that were the same. Dean Stahl also asked, if Captain America's ass is America's ass, who is Southern Fried Geekery's ass? And it doesn't necessarily have to be any of us. Just who do we think has the best ass? So, Matt, you go. Buddy.
Oh, wow.
You can go first, man. Who's got the best ass?
Well, as far as Captain America, I think Cap's ass has to be. I mean, it just, he's supposed to represent the American dream. So
Yeah.
what other answer can you give, regardless of your motivations or interests? I think that has to be. And as far as Southern Fried Geekery podcast ass, I'm new here, but I would say whoever pays them bills.
AKA Craig.
I have the best ass.
Craig has the best ass.
Done.
So I would agree with you that Cap's ass is America's ass. Now it is. Because Sam, that actor, who I'm sure, I can't think of his name right now, he has got an amazing ass. It's there.
He will become.
Don't get me wrong, Chris, all the Chris's have nice asses too, but the new Cap, the guy who plays the Falcon, Sam, his ass is incredible.
Oh, if we're talking like physical,
Yeah.
what's the best ass? Okay, my answer would change. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, my answer would change.
It's your interpretation.
Right. Doesn't have
however
to.
you
That's just the
interpret
way
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as SFG's ass, I mean, yes, Craig. Craig does in fact have a nice ass. I've seen Craig in basketball shorts. Craig got a donk. Sean, go, brother.
If you don't think Captain America is in America's ass, you forgot he already punched Hitler.
That's true.
He is America's ass for sure. SFG, to be fair, I never noticed Craig basketball shorts, so I can't judge on that.
You wouldn't. That's fair.
And I did pick the crew because even though he said not to, don't listen to rules around here. I've only seen one of us in spandex, and that's Jerry.
That's a valid point.
So he has to be SFG's ass.
Like you said, a twink in a skin suit.
Damn right.
Sure, why not? I mean, yeah, Cap's got America's ass. I mean, I don't know who else would have America's ass.
It's a patriotic ass, man.
If Black Widow were an American,
I thought the same.
Yeah.
I thought the same.
Yeah.
Faux show.
But he carries the shield.
and then me.
Yeah.
You do pay the bills. I'm not discrediting that.
No, I mean,
All right, I'm really excited about this next question because it branches out away from comics a little bit. We're gonna skip a few on the list. No, I moved my list. So
Okay.
we're gonna rephrase. I'm out.
I'm like, it's a direct comic question.
Yeah, I was like,
I got to change some answers real quick.
I skipped ahead. I'm sorry. This one does not branch away from comics. It goes to our collections. And it comes from Mr. Zach Davis, who, if you listen to the show regularly, you heard us review his comic, Crimson Rider, not too long ago. And he says, which comics do you guys have that you treasure the most in your collections? Yeah, this was a hard question because I have a lot of comics and I love a lot of them just sheerly for the memories I have of reading them. But when I think about what I do have, it's a tie. It's either going to be my copy of Tales to Astonish number 86 or my copy of Incredible Hulk number 109. Because number one, they feature two of my favorite characters, the Hulk and Namor, and they're both signed by Stan Lee. And they're the only things I have signed by Stan.
Mm-hmm.
As y'all know, if you've listened to the show, I realize that Stan Lee was a human and had human faults, but Stan is like one of my personal heroes. So I'll entertain no negativity about Stan. He's
Right.
he's like my papaw, and I'll punch you for my papaw. But that's the only thing I have with Stan's signature on it, and I got to meet him because of those two comics, and so I love them.
Nice.
Craig,
mine is My Amazing Spider-Man number 2.
okay,
Ooh,
That's
wow.
It was kind of an easy choice for me. So, I mean, do I need to go on as to why that would be mine?
I mean, but is there a favorite part in that? I mean, obviously because you love Spider-Man, but is there a favorite part in that comic that you really enjoy?
Well, I mean, you get introduced to the Vulture in that comic, and I mean, obviously, if I had my choice out of all the Spider-Man books, it'd be ASM 15. I mean, Amazing Fantasy 15. But this is the one I currently have. That's the oldest of the Spider-Man collection, and that's what made that one my
Nice
choice.
What you got, brother?
So the ones my list are the original Wolverine limited series was a big deal for me as a kid. Those were the first comic books I actually paid, above cover for. Those are the first comic books I bought at a comic book shop, and I was like, I treasured them. I thought it was like, wow, it's a piece of history. Oh my gosh.
And they still are.
Oh yeah, and it's a great, and not to mention it's a great story. And then from there, the Wolverine limited series was the first monthly series I collected as a kid, and I valued those a lot, and I still do. And then, the rest on my list is just things that had the biggest impact on for my comic fandom, kind of opened my eyes. Each one of these other books showed me something I'd never seen before in comics. Punisher Max in the beginning, The Boys by Garth Ennis and Derek Robertson, Martial Law by Pat Mills and Kevin O'Neill. And then the old Todd McFarlane Spider-Man in the original Spawn run was a big deal for me as a kid because, as most kids, I worshipped Todd McFarlane. And when he got to do his own thing, oh my God.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good times.
Yeah. The comics on my list aren't so much the contents of the books, but the people associated with them. First one is New Mutants 98. It is the only comic that I own that I bought off the shelf that's older, that I still have. And I gave away to a friend. Shout out to my one of my oldest friends, Adrian Hill, who after getting back into comics again, telling him, I gave you a book that is skyrocketing in price. Can I get it back? And he said, absolutely.
Wow. Nice.
And on top of that, every issue of Savage Dragon and Teen Titans that Craig, Caleb, and other friends have just donated to my collection is super important to me, and I really like them.
It's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
All right, so this next question is the question I was talking about originally, and the one I jumped ahead on and completely fucked up.
Caleb pulled it audible.
Podcast. And this comes to us from our friend Mr. Billy Z of the Comic Book Bears podcast, and he says he calls this the Cosmic Treadmill Woodstock. Plan a concert and pick bands or singers from any point in time, and you each get to choose 2 acts. What would the bill be? From Mr. Billy Z. And we're going to go with our distinguished guest here, because he's been excited about this all week.
Oh my God, this was so easy. So easy. 3 seconds. Yeah, couldn't write it fast enough. 1980s Metallica and Slayer. Just riffs and anger issues.
Did we mention you have a hierarchy of violence?
Yeah. Oh, God.
Who's higher on the hierarchy of violence, Slayer or Metallica?
Oh, the violence? Oh, that'd be Slayer.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No doubt about it.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm in Raining Blood.
Oh, God. Raining Blood. To Show No Mercy, that album. Yeah. Oh, Jesus Christ.
We don't need Viagra for Matt. We just
later. You just put on speed metal and just it's great. Sean, what's your bill, bud?
My 2 acts are going to be as bipolar as my musical tastes. Opening act is the Black Mages. This is an instrumental rock band comprised of 3 of Square Enix's Final Fantasy music composers, who will do just symphonic and instrumental covers of all my favorite Final Fantasy songs. And then after all that nice, chill, beautiful music, we're going to end it with the entire cast, living and dead, of the Wu-Tang Clan.
Okay.
Finishing out.
Yeah, I figured.
With good old Dirty Bastard kicking off.
ODB.
Yep.
We got to get Matt a Wu-Tang name. He didn't get a Wu-Tang name. So, Matt, you don't know this, but in SFG history, we all did the Wu-Tang name generator, and we all had our own Wu-Tang name. So we'll have to get you a Wu-Tang name.
Oh, man.
Craig, what concert you seeing, bud?
So, because I was trying to put a concert together, let me back up. I've been fairly fortunate later in life to see a lot of the bands I missed as a child.
And I've been fairly fortunate to get to tag along with you to some of those because you love me.
So, we're actually getting to go see one next week. Uh-huh. We're getting ready to go see a little band called Judas Priest. So
that's next week?
I'm so
it's
fucking
the first,
excited.
So
I've been wanting to see, like Rob Halford, also Somewhere with Stan Lee on my list of heroes.
So one of the bands that I really enjoyed during the 80s that I didn't get to see was Depeche Mode. Uh-huh. And I would really love to see Depeche Mode. So then I thought about who would I like to pair Depeche Mode up. Because the other band from the 80s I didn't get to see that I'd still like to see is Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
But that's not really a concert that I want to see together.
That's true.
You know, I mean, that's a weird group of people. So I went. I mean, it's a weird mixing, you know? I mean, so I'm going to go with Depeche Mode and New Order.
Okay. So I think Matt's the only one on the show who put 2 concerts you could actually see.
You don't know that for sure.
Well, I mean, that's true.
Wu-Tang get out the Black Mages anytime they want.
I love music. I love a variety of music. If you look at my Pandora stations or my playlists, it looks like I've got musical Tourette's. Like, it's all over the place. Everything from just instrumental violin music to thrash metal. So I was thinking about this too, and really I wanted to do bands that there's really no chance of me getting to see because unfortunately they passed away and I never got to see them. So one of my favorite 90s rock bands is Alice in Chains. I never got to see Alice in Chains. I was a high schooler when Lane Staley died. I remember where I was when I heard the news that Lane Staley died. I was on a farm in Arkansas and I just started crying because he was Lane fucking Staley. And I loved that band. I loved everything about it. To me, it's the best band that came out of Seattle. They were the greatest bridge between hair metal and like this new, what ended up becoming grunge rock, which, by the way, they're not grunge rock. Don't call them grunge rock because they're not.
They're just heavy metal.
They're just a really, really great metal band that's kind of got this timeless sound. And I would love to see them. And in my dream concert, that's going to be full of some really weird people. At least it's going to be it's going to be a group that comes together that would not ordinarily be together in my mind, unless because it's in
that's
my mind.
what I meant. Yeah. Just saying.
I think that's what I did.
No, but it's still true. I mean,
it would be weird people. Yes.
It would be Prince. I would have Alice in Chains open for Prince. Prince is one of the most fundamentally amazing guitarists. Yeah, no, all right. Like, imagine that show. There's babies getting made that night. Just period. Everybody's getting fucked. It's happening. Prince is one of the best musicians to be alive during our time. He's written some of the most iconic music. And what I really want is all of Alice in Chains to come up at the end of the show and do Darling Nikki with Prince.
No, I want him to sing Nothing Compares to You.
Well, yeah. Or maybe Prince sings Here Comes the Rooster. I don't know. I want to see a crossover.
That would be amazing.
Pussy Control.
Yes. God, yes. I want all of this. I want it so bad right now. What you got, Sean?
Just before we wrap up music, Matt Trogden will now known in his Wu-Tang world as Lucky Conqueror.
He is the Lucky Conqueror. Matt has a Wu-Tang name. Welcome to SFG, brother. Right. So you know what, in real life, what's the most insane concert pairing I can ever think of? Early on in their career, this really, really well-known band called Guns N' Roses took this really, really unknown band on tour with them that ended up being Nine Inch Nails. So you had people in flannel shirts and doing heroin with people in gas masks and flak jackets all in the same audience. Like, that's insane to me. But that really happened. That's a true story. It's real life. All right. So we've got 2 questions left. We got time to go through both of them?
Let's do it.
All right.
We can do it quick.
So you find yourself as a prominent writer for Marvel and DC. Please, dear God. What characters do you not want to write? You can do either or both reasons, like you have no ideas for said characters, or you feel like this character is so tied up to another creator that no matter what you do, it would be compared to that creator. And this comes from our brother Mike Delvecchio. Who wants to kick off? We'll go with Sean.
I'll go. I did one for each. Marvel, I do not want to write Wolverine because I got nothing for the man.
Okay.
And I'm tired of him. And DC, a little more realistically, like Superman, I would not want to write because I don't feel like it's in my wheelhouse to be able to write a story for a character I find that is very hard to make interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I picked the Fantastic Four.
Okay.
The family dynamic, making that compelling.
It's not nearly enough violent.
Just like, how are these people going to kill people? What's their motivation? I don't understand. So,
or that could become the greatest Fantastic Four story ever that you made.
I think I'd get run out of there pretty quickly.
I don't know that I'd want to write the X-Men, even though I love the X-Men, because I don't think I could do anything better than Claremont and Byrne did back in the 80s. So, which is what that title has suffered from since the 90s.
As long as you don't make it too political, I don't like it when X-Men get political.
I will stab you in the eye with my insulin pin.
Where does stabbing with an insulin pin rank on the
number 22?
In this case, I'd say it's top 5.
Nice.
I wouldn't want to write Spider-Man. I don't do comedy. I'm not a generally funny person, I don't think. I don't like watching comedy. And I think you have to have a good comedic voice to do. I would love to see Kyle Starks write Spider-Man. I think he'd be great for that character. I don't necessarily have a good ear for comedy. But the stories that I write aren't lighthearted. It's just not. It's not me. I can't. Right. I don't have a good idea for Spider-Man, or just a general the love for that character that I think you have to write a good Spider-Man story. With DC, The Flash, I don't give a shit. Right. I'd love to write some of his rogues characters, but I think I can't. I don't like the Flash. There's nothing about.
I don't like the Flash the way he's been written for the past 10 years, and I keep trying to buy it and trying to like it.
It's just not for me. So our last question comes from our.
Give us back Wally.
Right. I'm ready for that issue. It comes from Nick Helms of the Good Stuff podcast. He says, what Marvel creator do you want to see get a live-action Hulu series now that we are getting those? And what villains of theirs would be the focus for that first season? This is a good question. I like this question because it makes you look at what's happening in Marvel and choose some characters out of the wheelhouse. So we'll end as we started. Matt, take the front seat on this one.
So I have 2 answers for this because you might stick me for a technicality on the first one.
Okay.
My idea is Conan the Barbarian as a series.
I'm down with that.
And have him, because now to me that he's a great character for a series because he's a thief, he's a mercenary, he's a bare knuckle fighter. Yep. I mean, anything you want him to be. He can be a villain or he can be a hero, a pirate. And just have him, the opening season, him versus a local gang of thieves that dominate the criminal world. Mm-hmm. He comes in and start making his mark on town.
I'm down with that. I think like Conan should be a serialized thing. It should like stop making Conan movies, put him on TV.
And have someone in that role that's not traditionally attractive and like the Tony Soprano route. Go with somebody that big, dirty, scarred. They look like they've been living rough for a long time.
Benioff and Weiss should write it.
Yeah, and I think that would make a killer series. But I thought since if you're talking pure Marvel character, my second choice was Moon Knight versus the werewolf.
Ooh, okay, going the horror route.
Yeah,
I dig it.
Yeah,
I dig it a lot. I think we might actually get to see that too. I don't know if we'll get to see the werewolf, but they've got to be in the works for a Moon Knight show at some point. Like it's prime for it.
His name keeps getting dropped. I think we will eventually.
I'll go second if you're okay with that. I would love to see America. Look, Craig, you pay the bills. You get you are SFG's ass. I want to see America Chavez.
I'm just the ass of SFG.
I love America Chavez. It's a great character. I think we need to see more women on the screen. Period. Especially strong-willed, independent women who do their own thing. America Chavez she's got a great power set. They'd be able to do some really, really cool stuff with effects.
I thought she was just the teleporter.
No, she's so much more than that. She's also a puncher. She teleports and punches. She's dual use. No.
It's a double threat.
I hate it when they only use her as a teleporter. It's bullshit. No, she's a kick-ass character, and I would love them to see to go the Kid Loki route. I would love Kid Loki as the villain. I think there's a great dynamic. That version of the Young Avengers was amazing, and that's what I really want. So give me that, Hulu.
I originally had Ghost Rider, but that's going to happen. Like if you had asked me this 6 months ago, I would have said Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
Right.
But since that's happening, I'm going to go with Blade, and I think Deacon Frost would be a fantastic villain because Deacon Frost you could set up as kind of, maybe similar to the first movie where he's kind of. But have him just in charge of the vampires, not trying to take charge of them, where he's just kind of running the vampire mafia, basically, and just kind of this guy in the background controlling things, using his superior intelligence to do so, and have Blade just destroying vampires is just, I can watch that every week.
Fun stuff.
Well, I apparently misread the live action part of this question. Although it could still work live action, but I did actually had a more of a older audience animated idea of She-Hulk courtroom drama.
Okay.
Think Harvey Birdman, Attorney at Law.
Yeah.
With just the best cast of C-level and D-level villains on trial with it. And more like kind of going a more comedic route with this.
I'm down with that. I think that'd be great. I would also love to see She-Hulk in what was the team called? Where they fixed things. They rebuilt the city.
Oh,
they were talking about
damage
control.
Yeah, damage control. And they were actually talking about doing that series at one point in time, but they didn't, which is sad. But damage control with She-Hulk, or like you said, the Harvey Birdman version of the cartoon would be amazing. Yeah. Well, all right, that was fun, guys. Those are some really good questions. We still have about that many more on the docket for next time. So if you have more questions, though, get them in.
You can't say docket. It makes me think of Creed, and then I want to punch somebody.
Don't think of Creed.
Creed?
Yeah.
Don't think of Creed.
The movie or the band?
The band, no appeal on the docket today. Just my own.
Now I'm thinking of it.
Why would you? You are no longer SFG's ass. You don't get to be SFG's ass.
That's why I said don't say docket.
Quit saying Creed. It's spreading like a zombie plague. Now we're all mad.
3 years. You have to.
Well, then I'll start thinking about you when you say docket. But for now, that's what came to my mind.
I think you just added another year.
Yeah. Can we talk about New Comic Book Day for a second? All right. So if you listen to the show, and you should, and you are because you're hearing this, every week we like to give you guys some just suggestions, little hints about stuff that we might want you to go pick up. Wednesdays are New Comic Book Days. That's when your local shops or your online retailer get the new books. And so here's some stuff that we think you should pick up. Some fresh picks for the week. I almost said fresh
Prince.
I was
the Fresh Prince of Southern Fried Geekery.
I went Fresh Prince, but that's because our minds go in different places. So, Craig, you go ahead, brother. What are you grabbing this week?
I went with Angel #1 from Boom Studios. It's the remix or the reimagining of the Angel television show, which was my favorite part of the Buffyverse. So, being written by Brian Edward Hill with Gleb Melnikoff and Dan Panosian. I don't know how to say it.
Dan
Panosian, is
yeah.
that it? Okay. Anyways, yeah, I'm super excited about that book. So
Nice. Sean, what you reading, brother?
I'm looking forward to Batman Last Night on Earth. It is a new story about Batman basically at the end of his life, end of the world. It's going to be a post-apocalyptic story.
Matt's crossing books off his list.
But it's from Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo. And,
Okay.
It's just resonating. This is resonating very close to me because I'm actually currently working on next month doing a professional cosplay photo shoot where we're all doing post-apocalyptic DC characters. So
Yeah.
this book's right up my wheelhouse right now.
What Matt was passing me a note. Some interesting things happened in the Batman world this week, and we'll get into it more when we do our news story. But essentially, Tom King's story is wrapping up with 85. He was going to do 100 full issues. It was going to be 105, but he's now going to be finishing his story in a book called Batman and Catwoman.
Yes.
But we'll talk about more of that in our news segment, just because I think we all have some pretty strong opinions about it, and about some of what happened and what went on with it. Because there's some interesting things going on, and some interesting reporting being done, if that's what you want to call it.
Right.
Anyway, so Matt, what are you picking up, brother?
So I'm looking forward to, I've got 3 books, but I think the one I'm looking forward to the most is Ascender, number 2.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to where he's going with that story.
Did you read all of Descender?
Not all of it. I didn't finish it. Unfortunately, I fell off, and I should have got
You
back
need to
on.
pick up the last trade or whatever.
Yeah, I do. Agreed.
I've heard it's. I need to read Descender.
You really don't have to know what happened in Descender to understand Ascender. It's a completely different story. It just takes place in the same universe.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you could jump on Ascender without having read Descender, but I still recommend you read Descender.
Jeff Lemire said that you can get into Ascender and not miss a beat.
At least from what I read from the first book, that
He did, but see, I read the first book also, and I was really lost.
well, because he doesn't give you all the world in the first issue.
So maybe that's like I was wondering. That's just the case.
Yeah, that's just
that's
he's
nothing to do
not.
with the
He
first
didn't
series.
build the entire world in one issue or the entire universe in one issue.
Yeah.
So
All right, so I'm going to encourage, implore, beg you to go pick up what I consider to be one of the best books on the Marvel lineup right now, and that's Immortal Hulk number 18.
is there anybody not reading that book?
There shouldn't be.
Yeah,
I'm stoked about.
There are apparently lots of people who aren't because it's not the top-selling book, and I don't understand why.
Isn't it
As Sean
outselling?
sneaks away from the table.
Isn't it outselling Batman these
it
days?
is.
It is.
so.
Yeah, it's so good.
Which means it's pushing 100,000 copies.
it's so
a
good.
month.
It's incredible. Al Ewing writing it, Joe Bennett illustrating it, Alex Ross on the covers. Bruce Banner is trapped inside the Shadow Base Site A, powerless and hunted by their top assassin. He can't run forever. He can't change form. He can't survive without the Immortal Hulk, but not the one you think. And so if you've been reading this, spoiler warnings, hints, you're getting Grey Hulk in this book. And I, like, the Hulk's my dude. That's my character. And this is one of the best Hulk books that we've had in decades, like since Peter David was writing the Hulk. I like, and that's, you had Mark Waid writing it 5 years ago, who wrote a great run, and it's hard pressed for me to say that something's better than Mark Waid run. This one
better.
is. It's way
Yeah,
better.
I think this is. I liken what this is doing for the character to what Punisher Max did for that character.
Yeah, it's kind of rewriting while using the existing mythos. It's giving you a better version of that mythos, in my opinion.
It's more. The Hulk's more compelling now than he's been in a long
Absolutely.
time.
Well, it's being written as a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde book.
Yeah.
Yeah,
First
they're,
time in a
they're
long
looking
time.
at those
which is-
first 5 issues that came out in the 60s, and they're saying, like, look at these open-ended threads, and look at these things that were happening that, like, they disappeared after Tales to Astonish. Let's do something with them. And they are.
he's an analog for that, and he should be being
Yeah.
written that way anyways,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
they haven't in a long time. So it's really great to see that being done.
Should we go ahead and spoil something about the next show?
Sure.
So there's one more thing you guys, all of you out there, need to pick up this week. And it's in order to be able to enjoy it with us next week. Next month is a weird month. There are 5 Sundays next month. And so what we decided to do is on a month that there are 5 Sundays, we're going to pick a trade to talk about. Trade, graphic novel, just kind of a collected edition, something bigger. The entire episode next week is going to be us chatting about the legendary, the ever important Dark Knight.
Dark Knight Returns.
Yep. It's Frank Miller. It's one of the things that he's most known for. It's We've all got some differing opinions about it.
Apparently.
We know the story.
I'm not going to share my opinion until I've reread it.
Okay.
Because it's been a minute.
Hey, and that's fair.
Same.
But even if that opinion doesn't change, that's fine. It's all subjective. And I'm really looking forward to this chat because it does have an important status in the canon of comics. So we're going to get it. So if you don't have a copy of it, go buy one. And if you do have a copy of it, read it. And we're going to spend all next week talking about Dark Knight Returns. Well, we're ready to bring this thing home, guys?
Yes, sir.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we really, really, really hope you have enjoyed what you've heard. We want to ask you to please come back and see us next week. We hope you do. We hope you like it. We do it for you. We do it for us, but we really do it for you. We want to thank Matt for coming in and hanging out with us, and hopefully you'll be back next week.
Absolutely. I love it. I'll be here as often as I can be.
You're going to just rearrange the creases in Jerry's ass print in the chair.
It's a tall task, but I'm up for it.
That's the show, guys. We really hope you've liked it. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, shoot us an email. We're southernfriedgeekery@gmail.com. If you want to come, obviously hang out on our Facebook group where it's on and popping all the time. Make some friends, talk about some stuff, post your opinion. Just don't be a douchebag and you'll be fine. We're Southern Fried Geekery, and that's a group on Facebook. You can also see what we're reading and what we're saying on Twitter. We're at SFG Podcast on both of those. So without anything else on the list, go forth and read some comics.
Woo! Somebody had to do it. We're all looking at you.
We're waiting to see if Matt was going to.
Oh, I was supposed to go.
God, sweet!